In this video, you are going to learn how to find the line of best fit using Desmos. So we can create scatter plots, find the correlation coefficient R, and find the line of best fit using Desmos. We're going to write our line of best fit using y equals mx plus b. So here are the steps for finding those three things in Desmos. Step 1 is to go to desmos.com/calculator. Step 2 is to click on the plus sign, which is the Add Items button, and then click on Add a Table. Step 3 is to enter in your data, so that's going to be your table of values that you put in. And then your last step is in line 2 to type this formula. So y1, your little tilde, which is that squiggly line, m times x1 plus b. So let's try that with this example. The National Honor Society wants to find the relationship between the number of minutes spent studying and the grade on the exam. Use Desmos to create a scatter plot, find the correlation coefficient, and line of best fit. Round to the nearest hundredth. So if you're asking us to round to the nearest hundredth, that's telling us to round to 2 decimal places. So here we have our table of values, and what we're going to do is we are going to plug into these steps right here in Desmos. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Desmos, and over here on the top left hand corner, I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to click on Add Table. And so I'm just going to copy from our notes. So my x values, I'm going to do all my x's first. So I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 45, 50, 55, and 60, and 90. And then those y values were 40, 60, 58, 75, 85, 80, 88, 85, 90, and 97. So for our x values, we have the number of minutes studied, and for our y values, we have the score on the exam. If you can't see your scatter plot, click on the little magnifying glass down here, and then it will zoom in on your data values for you. So that was the first thing that they wanted, was for us to create a scatter plot using Desmos. Now to find the line of best fit, in line 2, I'm going to type y1, and then I'm going to use a little tilde button. So on your computer, if you just click next to the number 1, you'll get the little squiggly line. On Desmos, it's right down here. So if you look at the enter button, we have to the left is comma, and to the left of that is our tilde. And then I'm going to have mx1 plus b. So when I do that, you'll see all the beautiful statistics that Desmos gives me. Underneath statistics, they give me r squared and r. The bottom one, r, is our correlation coefficient. So r is 0.8694. 0.8694. And they told us to round to the nearest hundredth. So to round to the nearest hundredth, you look at the third decimal spot. If that is 5 or higher, you round up. If it is less than 5, you keep it the same. That is higher than 5, so I'm going to round up this 6 to a 7. So my r value is going to be 0.87. Our equation, we're going to write this in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. In Desmos, if you look, they give us m and b. M is 0.576006. And then b is 53.9118. Again, they want us to round to the nearest hundredth. So when I go to write this, my equation, I'm going to replace m with my slope, and I'm going to replace b with my y-intercept. And I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to have y equals 0.58. Again, I look at the third decimal spot. That's higher than 5, so I round the 7 up to an 8. X plus b is going to be 53.91. Again, look at the third decimal spot. It's less than 5, so we keep this 1 the same. So here we have our equation, and here we have our R value. Then it says, what does R represent in this context? Well, R is 0.87. 0.87 is a strong positive correlation. I know it's strong because it's closer to 1 than it is to 0.5. I know it's positive because a number is positive. So this means that there is a strong positive correlation between the minutes spent studying and the score on the exam. It says use the formula to predict an exam score of a student who studied for 40 minutes. So 40 minutes is our X value. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug into our equation. Again, our equation was right here, so that's y equals 0.58. And then we're going to substitute in 40 for X plus 53.91. So I'm just going to go over to Desmos, and I'm just going to type this in. So I had, let's see, 0.58 times 40 plus 53.91, and I get 77.11. So that means that if someone spent 40 minutes studying for this exam, they could expect to have a score of 77.11 as their score for the exam. Oops. Let's look at example 2. It says find the line of best fit, so that means the equation, and the correlation coefficient, so that's R. So here they're finding R, and here the line of best fit is the equation of the line. Using Desmos, round to the nearest tenth. If we're rounding to the nearest tenth, then we're rounding to 1 decimal place. So let's go ahead and do that in Desmos. So in Desmos, I'm going to come back over here, and I'm just going to delete this table, and I'm going to add a new one. So here my numbers are 1, 2, 3. You'll see that Desmos starts to populate them, so that's nice. And I'm going to go up to 8. And then for my y values, I have 10, 8, 9, 7, 5, 3, 4, and 1. And if I hit that magnifying glass, it will zoom in on my data. And then in line 2, I'm going to type in y1 tilde x1. Oops, I forgot my m. So m x1 plus b. And when I do that, Desmos gives me all the information I need. So my correlation coefficient is negative 0.9575. We want to round to the nearest tenth, so that's going to be rounded to negative 1. And then for our line of best fit, our slope is negative 1.22619. If I round to the nearest tenth, that's negative 1.2. And then our y-intercept is 11.3929. So rounded to the nearest tenth, that would be 11.4. So here I have our line of best fit, y equals negative 1.2x plus 11.4, and our correlation coefficient is negative 1. Let's go ahead and look at example 3. So on example 3, we're going to do the same thing here. And so in Desmos, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these things. I'm going to insert a table. My table values are 2 for x, 4, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, and 18. And then my corresponding y values are 2, 3, 8, 7, 11, 12, 10, and 15. So here are those values. And then in line 2, I'm going to type y1, squiggly line, m, x, 1 plus b. And we get all of our parameters and statistics that we need. So for our line of best fit, that's y equals mx plus b. So if I round to the nearest tenth, I'm going to have y equals 0.7x plus 2. And then for our correlation coefficient r, my r value is 0.9079. So rounded to the nearest tenth, that's going to be r equals 0.9.